Lights, camera, action. This is the Red Carpet Podcast with your hosts, Luke Andersen and Dane Salmons. Hello again, welcome back to the Red Carpet Podcast. I am Dane Salmons, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Luke Andersen.
Hey, hi, hello.
Hello. Hi, Luke. How's it going?
It's going great.
Can we cancel the podcast? I don't want to talk about this movie today.
No way, man. If I have to do it, you have to do it with me.
Bro. We are talking about Gemini Man. Unfortunately, this is going to be a blast, a real blast.
You're really burying the lead as far as what we feel about this movie.
Yeah.
You're really hiding it. You're really keeping it a secret, keeping them in suspense.
I'm keeping them in suspense.
Whatever could we think about this movie?
It's
Who
actually
can say?
it's a 10 out of 10, obviously. Well, we're going to be talking about Gemini Man, but we do have a few things we want to talk about first. Just a couple stories that we found. We're recording a little bit earlier than usual, so the stories haven't all come in like they usually do. But we have a few things that just in the little time between the two recordings that popped out and stood out to us. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So let me look at where we want to start. Well, let's start with this because we were talking about this earlier, and I think it's something that both caught our attention because we mentioned this as we were going to the movie to see Gemini Man just briefly, talking about Zombieland Double Tap. Yeah. So the reviews for the Zombieland sequel that has been long anticipated, long delayed, probably delayed. Yeah. Who knows?
Well,
I don't know.
I think it's just long anticipated at this point.
Long anticipated.
I don't think it has a very storied production, which is probably a good thing.
Yeah. Not a long production, but always start, stop. Oh, yeah, we want to do a sequel. And then nothing happened. I think they were going to do a TV series at one point that fell through.
Yeah, I am very excited for this movie. I mean, so the reviews came out and they're they're pretty positive, which is really nice. I think I was tentatively excited because I don't think, from what I've seen from that director, I always felt like Zombieland was a bit of a flash in the pan. Great movie. I loved that movie. Loved it. Watched it 2 times in 2 days, and that was I first saw it 6 months ago. But I saw Venom and I saw the other movies that he's worked on, and I was like,
Wait, hold on. That didn't sink into me because I've not looked up. Did he do Venom?
Let me make sure that I'm not insane, but all I know is I looked at it and said, he hasn't made a single other good movie.
I knew that. I couldn't tell you what else he did, but I know I've looked his stuff up and been like, wow, that's really bad. That's really terrible.
Yeah, let's see here.
He did Venom.
Well, because Zombieland was always something where his it always felt to me like it was this close to being awful. And because there's so many decisions it could have made. Yeah, okay, yeah, I wasn't wrong. Venom, Gangster Squad.
What the heck is Gangster Squad?
Came out in 2013.
Huh?
Uh-huh. And anyways, not a lot of good stuff from him since, but whatever. I mean,
the point of the story is that the reviews for Zombieland
are good.
Came out, and usually, when a movie like this comes out from a director that was very much like a one-hit wonder, and from a movie that's been 10 plus years in the making, 10 plus years in between the sequel, typically you can expect it to not be great,
right? And
so the reviews have come in, and they are surprisingly positive.
Yeah. It makes me happy. I mean, the cast is there, right? They have the same cast back, and I mean, they have that incredible first trailer where it's just going through the accolades of all the actors and actresses, and it's all right, these people have some clout now. Can this director still handle these folks? And it looks like they can. It looks like they embody the character well. It looks like more of the same from what I hear, but that sounds good to me.
Do you have the link to some of the reviews, some of the ratings and comments from the movie?
Yeah, let me
because there's the review thread on Reddit. Can you read? Can you pull that up and read just a little bit?
I was gonna pull up kind of Rotten Tomatoes has good synopsis usually of some of the reviews here.
Pull those up and just read a few for us.
You bet.
I want to see just to get kind of a gist of what people are saying.
Okay, we have Okay. All right. I'll start with one that is genuinely positive. Zombieland. This is from Mick LaSalle, excuse me, at the San Francisco Chronicle. Zombieland Double Tap is pure fun and worth seeing if you want to laugh. Sure. Sorry, it's just that is just the most sentence. Okay. And then from A.O. Scott at the New York Times, Zombieland Double Tap sets the bar low and steps easily over it, which makes it better than a lot of recent big screen comedies.
Oh, man.
And then finally, heroically, Double Tap's new actors, rare though they are, save it from being completely brain dead. Jeez. So, it's a sequel without equal in the annals of Zomcom cinema.
Okay. That is a sentence that was said. But I don't want to.
I could keep reading. I mean, this is like my favorite thing to do is just reading some of these these one-liners are hilarious. But anyways, the percentage is generally positive, and even that, it seems like, hey, look, it's a good movie. Just go in expecting Zombieland.
Yeah. And that's not a problem.
No, like, I'm here for that.
I'm here for that. Like, as long as it's not like an absolute embarrassment and tarnishing the legacy of Zombieland, I'm totally fine with a movie that's just more of the same, but like good more of the same.
Yeah.
You know?
I think we're gonna talk later about a movie that might tarnish the legacy of something that's worth or that's potentially being tarnished. We'll get to that.
We'll get to that in a little bit, but just a few other things, just real quickly. So Matt Reeves, the Batman, has cast their Catwoman for this film. And their Catwoman is Zoe Kravitz, who has been in the Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them series. And she was also in Mad Max Fury Road. Yeah, if you remember her, she was
I do.
She was the bride that was really good with guns and like changing out the guns. So like things like that, you know, where it's just like those little things. Like, I don't know much about her, but what I've seen, I like her a lot. And so, and I can't tell you exactly what, but I hear that she went up against some stiff competition in the auditioning process.
I heard that too. I don't remember who it was, but yeah, it sounds like she had competition and she must have had a killer audition.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm excited for that. I mean, hey, like, I think she looks like she'll make a fantastic Catwoman. And so I'm looking forward.
From what I've seen in her performances, I agree.
Yeah. So there's not really much to say, but I'm just excited at how the Batman is like kind of taking shape.
Yeah. I think that these we'll have to see how it pans out, but so far the casting decisions have all seemed top notch. It's Matt Reeves, who I was bored the other day. I was like, I should just look at other movies he's done, and he's made some of my favorite movies of the past few years. Just a brilliant visual storyteller. Yeah. So I'm really excited to.
Oh gosh, you're right. The Planet of the Apes movies.
Yeah.
Cloverfield. Yep. You're not wrong. He's done some incredible stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I think his stuff has only gotten better over time. So.
Well, this is breaking news I'm about to read now.
Okay.
I just looked it up. Breaking news on our podcast. Jonah Hill passes on Matt Reeves, the Batman. So
what was he going to play?
I don't know. But okay, so there were stories going around that Jonah Hill was being looked at, like kind of being eyed to join Matt Reeves, the Batman. And apparently he's kind of passed and is no longer in talks to join.
He could be a good mobster guy. Anyway, sorry, I'm just...
You're thinking the Penguin.
Sure, I mean, not just that,
okay. But it was a joke. There was a meme years ago when Batman versus Superman was first coming to be a thing, and Jesse Eisenberg was cast as to play Lex Luger, and someone made a low effort meme of Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor.
Yes, you got it.
Lex Luger is a wrestler. Gonna get you in the torture rack. Lex Luthor, and it was a meme where it was Jesse Eisenberg is Lex Luthor, and then behind him it was captioned they have to do one last job before they go to the. They have to do one last crime before high school or whatever. Something like that.
Okay, that's good.
And it was
all right.
Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor, Jonah Hill as the Penguin, and Michael Cera as the Joker. And we're now one step closer to having that meme. We were one step closer to having that meme be a reality if like they were trying to cast Jonah Hill as Penguin or something.
So have you seen Jonah Hill in Maniac?
I haven't. I've seen Jonah Hill in other things that I really enjoyed.
Yeah,
so it's more like just a joke, but I really enjoyed Jonah Hill as an actor.
Anyways, it turns out it doesn't matter because it sounds like
he's gone.
Turned down whatever.
He just dipped. He dipped out.
Interesting.
No, Batman is no more.
Yeah, he was going to be.
What if he was going to play the Penguin? Are they just doing like a replay of which movie was it? It was one of Michael Keaton's movies where it was Michael Keaton Batman, then the Michael Keaton Batman Returns, I think, where it was Danny DeVito as the Penguin and Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman. It's like, were they just going to do a replay of that?
Right.
It was,
you never know.
But
well, cool.
Whatever.
Yeah, that is what it is. I look forward to seeing more about that movie.
Yeah.
I really want to see more about that movie.
Yeah. Yep. Another movie that caught our attention, just to talk about this briefly, at least it's caught my attention, for better or for worse. Dr. Sleep, right? A few of the posters have come out for Dr. Sleep recently. Mm-hmm. I think the posters look fantastic, but these posters and the trailer and everything about this movie is hitting really hard the idea that this is a direct sequel to Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. Like, this is not just another doctor. I'm having a flippin' aneurysm. This is not a Stephen King adaptation. This is a sequel to Stanley Kubrick's movie. Yeah. Which, for better or for worse, that's definitely difficult. So, and plus, one thing that it's been going around recently. This is like the big story of this movie right now. The movie is 2 hours and 33 minutes, which is longer than Stanley Kubrick's The Shining was, and is being presented as such because, not by much, because The Shining's runtime was 2 hours 26 minutes.
Oh, okay.
But it's like, it's trying to say like, we're even longer.
So were they advertising it as that?
I'm not sure if they were touting it themselves.
If they're out here touting an extra 11 minutes on their movie, that's kind of ridiculous.
Or if it's the media trying to be like, it's even longer than The Shining. And it's like,
whatever that, 11 minutes. And also, it's like, when did runtime matter? Like, I don't know. I don't really think of runtime ever as being indicative of anything.
No, it does.
Yeah, but if any sort of site or anything is peddling that as being any sort of indication about what they're trying to create, I don't know. With that being said, I am not remarkably positive on this movie. I'm looking forward to seeing what it is.
I am excited.
That's cool.
Have you seen what Mike Flanagan has done?
No, I should have done
So Mike Flanagan is the director of this movie. And he does pretty much entirely like horror projects.
What other stuff has he done?
He did Oculus, was his first big movie.
Okay.
Which, for some reason, has a really low user score, which I thought it was fine.
Probably was like, had a girl as a main character or something. Anyways.
It did.
Go on. I was trying to make fun of the way that... Look, no, let me clarify. A wonderful thing that happens with user reviews is that people are like, get super pissy anytime something has like an empowered female in it or something, and they're like, that's a Mary Sue, and they go in there and they yell, and it's just ridiculous. Well, anyway, that might not be the case.
Might not. I'll have to look that up later. Okay. He did Hush, which is one that has been on my watch list for a long time.
Okay.
Which is about a deaf girl who is trying to fight off a home invader.
Oh.
It's on Netflix. I've been meaning to watch that. He did Ouija Origin of Evil. The good Ouija movie. The good Ouija movie. Because the first Ouija movie was a meme. This is the good Ouija movie.
If you told me 2 years ago there's going to be a guy and he's going to direct a movie called Ouija Origin of Evil, and that man will make the sequel to The Shining, That's so
He
funny.
also did Before I Wake, which I believe is another Netflix film.
Okay.
And most interestingly, another Stephen King adaptation, Gerald's Game, which was a Netflix movie.
I haven't seen any of those.
Gerald's Game is a really tough movie to adapt because the whole plot of the movie is that a husband and wife that have been married for a very long time try to spice up their love life by bringing handcuffs into their bedroom. So the husband cuffs the woman to the bed for some fun time. Stop looking at the camera. Stop that. This is serious discussion right now.
Go on.
Stop it, pervert.
He
So he handcuffs,
keep telling me what's going on.
So he handcuffs his wife to try and spice things up. The wife's like, I don't want to do this anymore. They get in a fight. Husband has a heart attack and dies. And she's now trapped in the house, handcuffed with no way to escape. And that's the plot of the movie as she starts to have like a psychotic break. Like being trapped there for like days on
that sounds
end
all right.
with no food or water. And even with like stray dogs like wandering into the movie. You have to watch it to understand.
That sounds cool. That's a cool idea.
It's a tough movie.
I guess.
Especially because of like...
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say it's tough because of that, like, kind of plot. But it was very well done. They succeeded, I think, in doing that. And so, for that reason, do I think Dr. Sleep is going to be a fantastic movie? I'm not sure yet. I'm questionable. Right now, if I had to guess, I'm going to put it somewhere in the low 60s. Like,
I can see that.
At its final meta score, or high 50s. Yeah. If I had to guess.
Yep.
But
I think that's fair. I think for me what it was when I was on Twitter. This happened a few month or two back. I was on Twitter and the trailer for Dr. Sleep had just come out. And I just see this trailer across my Twitter feed, just like this Twitter promoted tweet about Dr. Sleep, the sequel to The Shining. And something about looking down at 4 a.m. at my phone, scrolling through Twitter, seeing a sequel to The Shining as a promoted tweet, like seeing that as like something like an ad campaign. It just, I guess here's the thing is when I think of what a sequel to The Shining looks like, and I don't mean this in terms of the actual visuals, I mean this in terms of the craft behind it. To me, it feels like The Lighthouse, like that kind of, like a little bit more art housey. Like that's kind of more what I was hoping for. And so it feels, I mean, let alone, I think straight up making a sequel to The Shining is like saying you're making a sequel to like another class, like
Citizen Kane.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say.
You're making the sequel to Citizen Kane.
That was the joke I made when I saw that was like, oh yeah, Citizen Kane 2 is like, I'm going to be scrolling through my Twitter feed in 2 years and I'm going to see Citizen Kane 2 Electric Boogaloo. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to be like, all right, here we are,
Especially because it's taken the work of a director who, first of all, according to some people, he butchered the source material in the first place, but managed to create one of the greatest horror movies of all time. And now the director is deceased, and you are now coming in and saying, we're not going to do Dr. Sleep as just like a book movie. We're going to make a sequel to Stanley Kubrick's movie. And it's like, the guy's dead, and you're making a sequel to his like masterpiece.
If you present your movie like that, I hope the reviews are able to see past that and just see the movie for what it is. Mm-hmm. Because me going in to see that movie, I'm already disappointed.
It's gonna be. It is. You have already set up people for disappointment.
Exactly.
So I feel like, because Mike Flanagan, at least from what I see, hasn't done a lot of big projects, and this is probably his biggest project so far.
Yeah.
And I feel like, I don't know if it's Mike himself or if it's just like a different marketing team. They have set people up for disappointment in this movie. Even if it's a great film, they're setting people up for disappointment.
I hope it's good. I really hope it's good. That'd be cool.
I really hope so. Because at this point, to not like make your audience mad, it would need to be a movie that is somehow better than The Shining.
It's just not gonna.
It's not gonna happen.
like who I. You know what? Okay, here's the thing. If I am on record saying that Dr. Sleep is not going to be a better movie than The Shining, and it's a better movie than The Shining, great. But let me tell you, it's not going to be a better movie than The Shining.
It's going to be a better movie
than The Shining. So, with that.
Speaking of horror movies. The Like a Boss trailer.
Okay. I was wondering where you're going with that one.
Speaking of horror movies, the Like a Boss trip.
So this right here, this might as well be an exclusive for the Red Carpet Podcast, because I think we might be the only people in the world talking about this movie. But last evening, when we saw Gemini Man, we had the wonderful opportunity of a trailer gracing our eyes for a film called Like a Boss. And do you happen to find any extra information about that movie?
I didn't dare.
Okay.
I didn't dare look up
so
any extra information.
It seems to be, it is the way I described it, well, the way that I will describe it is it looks like somebody made him. Well, it's one of those movies for like middle-aged women who are having their like Friday wine night and like want to go out for a movie. Like that's the way I saw it. Is it's like the movie starts with, like, I don't know, I don't even know what to say. It just are you finding some info about this movie?
I found that it's directed by Miguel Arteta. He's a Puerto Rican director. Okay. He did in 2002 a movie called The Good Girl.
What's it? Okay.
Yeah,
all right. I was going to describe it as this. I was going to describe it as, it looks like if you took one of those movies made for like middle-aged women who are just like going out, they're like, we're going to go catch a matinee, and but then they go and it is directed by someone who is like kind of sexist. Like there were like 4 jokes about breast sizes in that trailer. Like it was just weird. I don't know. I don't want to come off as being like an a-hole or saying this type of movie doesn't have value, but at least watching the trailer it was like, yikes.
Okay, I know one movie he's done. Okay. He did Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day.
No.
With the Steve Carell movie. Do I just know movies now? Just know random crap?
Like a Boss.
Like a Boss.
Like a Boss was the trailer that we saw. The movie doesn't look great. It looked very bad. It made a very bad impression. Like at one point, I think I literally was doing this because I like just freaking it's bad.
I just looked at you in disbelief. I couldn't. I thought
bad.
I thought like there was something in the popcorn.
It was the second time that they made the same comment about the same woman's breasts.
Yeah, they made like 4 breast jokes about this girl's
and
boob
it was
job.
one, but it wasn't like all at once. It wasn't a bit. It was just like different scenes in the movie.
Yeah,
and spread throughout the trailer. And I'm like,
so you already know this person's entire character is that she had a boob job. That is her entire character. Her entire personality is based around her breast size.
It's a trailer. Hope movies come out like this all the time, and it's like, oh, it was actually really good, and they were just saving it. But like, I
want to look at it. I want to look at this guy's Metascore.
Hi. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't really have anything to say about this movie other than that it was just quite the impression. Go watch the trailer to that movie.
All I could say was that it started our evening off fantastically.
On a perfect note.
It was just the perfect. Apparently he's done some really good TV stuff.
Okay.
But movies, I don't know. Anyway, I just wanted to bring that up because it was the perfect start to our evening that night.
Yes. Gemini Man.
Where do we even begin? Here, I'll start with this because there's another story that kind of segues into Gemini Man. Let's start with this topic. The sound design of this movie was god-awful. Holy crap. I thought my eardrums were going to explode during some of these action scenes.
Not even the action scenes. I've never felt more uncomfortable watching, like physically uncomfortable watching a movie because of how loud it was. There was a portion where you have the scene and it is the ocean and you have a plane that goes like this and it's a relaxed Mediterranean ocean. Nothing intense is happening. It is so loud that both you and I just freaking plugged our ears because it was so loud. And I wanted them to stop shooting guns in these fights because every time, like, it wasn't, I think sometimes loudness gets conflated with the idea of impactfulness in sound. These were not impactful gun sounds. They were violently loud, and a lot of it was that way, except for when they're talking. And occasionally when they're talking, you can't even hear what they're saying. And this is in a theater where everything is cranked up. It was just like, I don't know. I don't know how it came out that way. It was awful. It was awful. But the technical issues in this movie, I think, are like 90% of the problems with this movie.
Yeah, it was. The Guardian has a story out where actor Hugh Grant claims that deafening cinema sound is ruining films. And if there is not a better testament of that statement, this movie is it. Because I literally, during multiple scenes, had to cover my ears because the bullets firing off, it actually felt like my ears were bleeding. Listen to that. Those bullets went out of the screen and hit my eardrum, and my ears started to bleed, and I started to cry. It was horrid. It was absolutely horrid.
Like I can't recommend anyone go see that movie in a theater.
No,
it
don't.
Sucks.
Do not go see that movie in theaters. Like, wait until it turns up. Wait until you're doing your laundry and it turns on TNT or Fox, and just watch it then. Like, you'll be better off. You can you have direct volume control for this movie.
Yeah, and while we're on the subject of just things that were, I think, fundamentally broken with this movie, the nighttime scenes that were like nighttime fight scenes specifically, I couldn't parse anything that was happening on that screen. It was so dark, and I was actually squinting at times because there were, not only was just the choreography was weak in especially like, I'm thinking like the earlier fight scenes.
I was going to say, it's not just that the movie was super dark. I just thought this movie, not only was it a testament to like just how bad like cinema sound can be, it's also a testament of how important great lighting and cinematography is for a movie, especially in the first half of the film. Like the shots and the lighting was so dry and boring. There was nothing interesting. It felt like a straight to DVD tier, like lighting.
Yeah. And I mean, and the writing was that way too, but I think it was literally, there was a scene that I laughed at because it was right at the start. Will Smith is laying down on his stomach. He's sniping a dude. And the shot that they choose is a wide shot from behind him, like on the ground, and he is just freaking spread eagle. Like, and so you're just seeing just like this shot of like very dull color, just like dull blue and dull green. And then you have Will Smith's butt here, just like spread open. And I just was like, what is this shot?
It was just like, it was so light. There was no interesting lighting dynamics there, like no shading or shadows. It was just a very static, bright shot. The cinematography, there was nothing lined up. It was just a very wide shot of just an open field. You're like, and so many of those shots were like that, where there's nothing interesting going on in the background. It's just sand, or it's just ocean. And not even pretty ocean. It's just like gross gray ocean.
How much of it was blue screen? Like blue or green screen? Because I literally, multiple scenes when they were like out on islands, I was like, or even when they're on the college campus, I was like, this looks green screen. I don't know if it had to do with the technology they were using or something. No
clue.
But it looked bad.
A lot of it just looked bad, and it looked boring. And in that same sequence you were talking about with that random wide shot of Will Smith's ass, it was just like, it was just for no reason whatsoever, because the whole movie's full screen. For no reason whatsoever, a random shot of the train where it like drives by the camera and just switches to widescreen for no reason.
Or wide angle. It's a random, there's nothing else in the movie that's like this. Nothing else tonally. It is just a random wide angle lens of this train just going vroom, and it
because it was jarring when it happened.
And it doesn't make any
And it doesn't happen again. It happens in like the first few minutes of the movie, never happens again, and it just sticks out like a sore thumb of like, did it just switch from widescreen to full screen on us, like in the middle of the movie?
Yeah.
It was fetching wild.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I was gonna, and you kind of mentioned that being the first half. The second half, you have a little bit better stuff going on there as far as just lighting goes. Like there were some cool looking shots in like I don't know, weird looking where there's these really nice warm lights and mixed with some really dark areas and really gorgeous stuff there. But as far as the cinematography goes, that's about the beginning and end of it. As far as
exactly. It's just like, it was just so boring. And a lot of the visuals of this movie in general were just rough. Like CGI in the movie. So you described this to me, that this movie was a tech demo, which instantly filled me with just regret because I don't trust tech demo movies. It's low energy, like low effort on like plot and story, and all high effort on showing off what technology does. And so the tech that they were showing off with this movie is this de-aging technology, and like, look at this. And this was there's an article that was great with this title. This movie showed off their de-aging technology and served as the greatest testament of why it should never be used again. They just need to scrap it and throw it into the ocean.
It was bad.
It was bad.
Okay, well, there were a couple scenes. I don't want to say that either.
Like when it was dark.
Yes, when it was dark.
It looked great. I was actually thought the de-aging technology looked really good. But then right at the end of the movie, they flippin' blew it.
Dude.
Like during that final scene of the movie,
gosh,
they blew it.
It's like he's walking around. It genuinely looks like Will Smith is walking around having a conversation with like an NBA 2K18 character.
Yeah.
Like it looks like a video game character from like the early current generation.
It is this close. Like if you look carefully, you'll see like a character like a CGI glitch where it's like in the 2K games when an eye bugs out and just goes.
Yeah, there's the second that but genuinely
that thing, whatever the heck that is.
The second it has to act, the way that they it's like they take the emotion slider and they kind of did this with it. So you're like, well, we need to really show that, because it was a tech demo, right? Mm-hmm. So we need to show that this thing is sad. We need to show that it's upset. So we're just gonna crank this up, and it looks like if you watch an Unreal Engine 4 tech demo where it's some guy looking into the camera and doing this and stuff. There's times where it's just yo, faces don't look that way.
No.
I almost have to wonder how much of it was the de-aging issue and how much of it was just the look of it reminded me a lot of the characters in Alita Battle Angel. I genuinely think that Alita Battle Angel with the giant eyes and all that jazz looked more set in that environment than in this movie. It was way more believable to me, which is crazy because of how wild looking that character is. It still looked more natural and organic. Mm-hmm. And it's we look at human faces all day. They talk about this all the time of just the valley, right?
Right.
Of just it gets to the point where you're gonna see it, and everyone looks at faces all day, and they know when something's just barely off. But man, it was bad. It was bad.
And there was so much really rough CGI. One of the things that ticked me off the most in that, and maybe because we didn't see this in 3D and high full res, whatever, all that
120 hertz.
Yeah, the 120 hertz. We didn't see it like that, and some people said, "Wow, that was incredible." Just visually, it was incredible. We saw it just in the theater regularly. There was that catacomb fight. That probably would have been much nicer looking with that 3D and higher resolution.
It also would have looked better if they just would have used an actual actor for that.
Yeah. Okay. I have to compare this to a movie. One of my favorite action movies of all time, or just action series of all time. And you might know what I'm thinking of when I say action series. I have to go with John Wick, right?
Oh, of course.
The John Wick series. And it's just so striking, the difference between the two. Because John Wick, at least as far as I know, sticks with just practical stunts as much as possible, and it's better off for it. The fight scenes and the choreography in that film is incredible. The fights move quick too. John Wick's flying around, throwing punches, tossing knives, and shooting people left and right. About 30 people die in a minute in a John Wick movie. And so it moves quick, but it's all natural, and it looks great, and it feels great, and you can feel the adrenaline rush. And then there's this catacomb fight between the two, which is all CGI, and you can tell the way it moves, the way they fight is so CGI'd, it's ridiculous. No one fights that quickly, and it sticks out like a sore thumb.
It's intense. I actually kind of was digging the insane pace of it, because it did feel kind of surreal, just how it was just like wild looking, but it didn't look like human. Like
it didn't look like humans.
You know what it immediately reminded me of was that final fight scene in Black Panther.
Yeah,
where it just was like. That scene in Black Panther is some of the worst CGI I've seen in a long time. Yes. And I think, I mean, it was like in an otherwise incredible movie. And in that, it stood out to me that badly. And this was already in a movie with pretty bad special effects throughout it. And to then have this fight scene where it's like, look, two blurry Will Smiths fighting in the dark. It's not hard to get a stand-in for that. Mm-hmm. You know, it's just like... But instead they're like, no, we got to really show off this tech, I guess. And so they just put in the CGI, and so you have this blurry looking CGI Will Smith, like, which doesn't even look like Will Smith. It just looks like this black mass kind of moving. And
it's just moving. Like, you can kind of tell that it might be people that it's supposed to resemble that are fighting, but it's just like a mass moving around because it's already a dark scene. And like you said, it's so hard to see. And it's just these two CGI'd Will Smiths fighting each other. And it's just, it could have been a really cool scene. Like, the intensity was there, and it's just it just looked really bad. And I like what you said, where it's like it looks like they're supposed to be humans that are fighting. This whole movie is like that. This movie, and I'm transitioning with this to like the writing and the pacing of the movie, which was horrendous. This felt like a movie. What is it that I described it as? This was like an alien watched and tried to make an action movie. Uh-huh. This felt like a movie that an alien watched. This felt like an alien watched as many like action movies as they could and just studied like the genre and then said, you know what? We are going to make an action movie.
Yeah, there are a couple moments in that movie that I think are actually genuine, like 2 moments in that movie. I literally wrote in my notes, good bike fight, Gatling scene good. There are 2 scenes. One involves a fight scene in which it is ridiculous. It is such a dumb scene, but dumb action when it wants to be dumb and it leans into that. I'm like, all right, let's go for it. Like, and so there is a scene where little Will Smith here comes riding up on his dirt bike and then kicks his dirt bike out and freaking slaps Will Smith across the face with the back wheel of his dirt bike, and then gets back. Do you remember when that happens?
Yeah.
It was like the best. It was like freaking, oh my gosh, it was so dumb. And I was like, this is great. Give me more of this. Because if it's going to be a cheesy, bad action movie,
go full in. Don't take yourself so seriously.
Right, and along with the story, the amount of times where there were times I could have fallen asleep during this movie. Because there are times where that movie sits down and decides to give you exposition for 5 to 10 minutes of them just sitting in a car talking. And it's not just them like building characters. It's them talking about like the fundamental, like, yeah, this happened to him, and then this happened to him, and then this happened to him, and then this happened to him. And that happens like 3-4 times during that movie.
Gosh, that happened. There's so much ridiculous writing. The pacing, the writing of this movie just felt so weak. It was like, this was an Ang Lee movie. Remember that. Ang Lee did this. Like, Academy Award, like, Ang Lee did this movie.
So there's another scene that I thought was really funny.
There's so many great scenes. Like,
yeah, there really are.
I'm going to go say your scene because I have a list of great scenes and moments that are just like ridiculous.
I think you're going to talk about the Gatling scene.
No.
At all? Okay. So I actually thought that Gatling scene was, it felt the way that the camera zooms into the face of the dude on the Gatling gun and then kind of goes out, and then it is this intense slow motion scene in which you just have this convenience store getting shredded to death for like way too long. Like it's like a single shot and it lasts for like maybe a minute of just slow motion, this place just getting torn apart. And there's no reason for that to be that long, but I kind of loved it. It felt like this random spark of just like insane, just like we're just gonna like almost like like that Judge Dredd remake where everything was in slow motion a lot of the time. Like it was that just indulgent and insane. And I was like, you know what? Like this is cool. Like sure. And it was practical and it was wild looking. But anyways, that was the only other scene I enjoyed in this movie.
This is just a list of just some of the dumbest scenes that I saw from the movie. Trying to go...
Sorry, I'm just thinking of some.
Yeah, you're good. Early on in the movie, Will Smith is in his house, blatantly puts a Coca-Cola can onto the table, like lines it up perfectly and everything. This movie is definitely sponsored by Coca-Cola. Just like I want to hide my Fat Cats cup now. Like I'm really self-conscious about that. I'm going to put it down there. We are not sponsored by Fat Cats yet, but it's like he so blatantly puts this Coca-Cola can down, and we started laughing because it's like, oh, there it is, the product placement in the middle of the film. There's that. There's a scene where Will Smith goes out to dinner with Mary Elizabeth Winstead's character, and they're sitting there, and Will Smith is giving a monologue about something, and the shot stays on Mary Elizabeth Winstead for almost that entire speech and does not cut. And it's not like she's reacting. She's just like...
Yeah, as he is talking like that. Yeah, like it's...
Yeah, he is talking about this. She's not reacting. Like if she was reacting like strongly, like, oh, whoa, huh? That would be fine.
She's
maybe.
Just sitting
but
there.
She's just like...
waiting for the next line. Like, yeah.
It's just, she's just sitting there, and it doesn't cut away. Cut back to Will Smith. What are you doing?
The way they handled her in general was kind of uncomfortable. I'll just say, like, she just felt like such a, for her character being potentially as interesting as she could have been. There were so many times in that movie where it just felt like, I didn't see a reason for her character to be there.
Yeah.
Genuinely. It felt like he needed someone to save, and it felt like that was the only reason.
And that is part of the pacing problem. There were so many characters in this movie that's like they want you to like be like, oh no, but it's like you knew them for like 10 seconds, or like they were there and they didn't do anything. Like at the end of the movie, one of the major characters dies. I didn't even realize he died. I was like, what? It's just like because they get in a big bus like car crash or whatever.
Yeah.
The car blows up. You don't see him.
Dude, that guy died?
He did.
That's why you didn't see him for the rest of the movie?
Yeah. Don't you remember? Because the car crashes and like you don't know. You just see people jump out. You don't even get a shot of who jumped out. There's no shot lingering that like he stayed in the car. There's no shot of him like hurt and injured. But all you get to realize he's dead is they jump out of the car's burning. Will Smith stands up and he goes, Baron, no! And then the van blows up a second time for good measure. And then later on, he says that he was settling Baron's estate. And it's like, oh, he died. Cool.
I know it sounds like a big deal that I like missed the death of the
major
character.
That's the problem.
But
the fact that you missed it proves my point. That there was no, like... He's just such an unessential comic relief character that did absolutely nothing.
Which sucks because those are both great actors.
Yeah,
actors.
Benedict Wong is
incredible.
This was Benedict Wong's character. He's a great actor, and he just was nothing but comic relief and did nothing. There was no build for his character. Most of the characters didn't have that. One character had all of maybe like 10 lines in the movie and was killed, and it was supposed to be tragic. And you're like, huh? This is why I say it feels like an alien watched action movies and tried to recreate it, because the pacing was all there for like action movie arc, but everything was so rushed at the start that like you build no connection to what's happening to these characters. Worthless like dialogue just describing like this happened that you're falling asleep towards. It was like really bad. And then there's just like these ridiculous scenes, like the very Russian man.
Dude.
This oh my gosh. Was very, very Russian.
Dude, and he really wanted you to know he was Russian. Like he
really wanted you to
that was
know
like
that this man was a very Russian man.
Yeah, that was some like the acting in that. It was some Tommy Wiseau. Like it wasn't quite Tommy Wiseau.
No.
It was close.
It was really close.
It was especially at the start of it, because it felt like he kind of got into the vibe of it towards the end, but it was some real, like, close to that. No, and we're also, there is a part in this movie in which she says to Will Smith's character, what was it, her dad or her
dad had passed away.
Yeah, she was like, oh, he was like, why did you never do this? And she's like, oh, like my dad passed away. And he
sorry about that.
And he goes, oh, sorry about that. And then keeps talking. Like they just talk over that completely. Like zero sympathy.
There was
zero
a lot
empathy.
of scenes like early on. There's like he was asleep, I think, probably having a dream. And they have a flashback, never discussed again.
With some horrendous acting from like who's supposed to be his father. Like
maybe, I don't know.
It was
never talks about his father, but his father's doing something scummy, and he never talks about it.
I think I remarked to you at one point because it was true that there were a couple times during the movie where it felt like the actors and actresses were seriously in two rooms, like doing like, especially there's one where it's the bad guy and I don't even know, the lady in the pantsuit, and they are like sitting in the same room having a conversation back and forth, and she is sitting here like this, and every time she is just staring down the barrel of the camera with every line that she says with like a mid-long shot, and it's just weird. It was just, and her acting was bad. It was
it was rough, but like, I just am not a Will Smith fan. People seem to like him a lot and think he's a star. I haven't seen a movie that I really enjoyed that he was in a long time. He has charisma, but he's one of those actors that he bides by on his charisma and just takes whatever like crappy project he can.
I don't know who his agent is, but it's like he has not been in a good movie for so long.
He feels like Johnny Depp Part 2, where it's like just this actor that gets everywhere, and everyone's like, yeah, I love this guy. And it's like his movies are bad. He hasn't been in a good movie in years. Last good Johnny Depp movie was Black Mass, and even then it was only a movie carried by the fact that he actually wanted to put in effort for that film. So it's just not a good movie. And like his charisma helped at points, and like the movie, I was able to laugh at it and enjoy parts, but it was not a good film.
Yeah.
And so
the clone ethics thing was kind of interesting, I guess. Yeah. I don't know. Anyways,
I need to ask you.
Yes, please.
Let's
stop
let's
talking
plug this
about
thing
this
in.
movie.
Where do you rate this scale of 1 to 10? I can go first if you want, because I have my rating pretty much set. I'm giving it a 4. I'll give it a 4. Because, like, there are movies I see that are bad, and I walk out mad. Like, Suicide Squad is a movie that I'd give a 1. It's, like, no redeeming qualities, except for, like, a couple, like, okay, I liked a few performances, but I walked out mad. There are movies I walk out just bored. At least I was able to find entertainment in this movie with how bad it was. But it is not a good movie. You should not pay money to go see this by any stretch of the imagination. Skip this until it like comes to like Redbox or something.
And even then, see, there's something better there.
Yeah.
I'd have to go 4. I was thinking about giving it a 3, but after you brought up Suicide Squad, and also then I thought about Batman vs Superman, and I was like, at least it's not that. So I'm gonna give it a 4.
Yeah. It was bad. It was bad, but at least we were able to have fun watching this movie.
When I wasn't covering my ears.
Yeah, for sure. And so that's all we got to really say about Gemini Man. There's not really much more I want to say about Gemini Man. I'm glad we got to get through this. Never speak about Gemini Man again.
No.
So, once again, thank you guys so much for joining into the show. Next week, we're having our very special spooky Halloween episode. We are currently in discussions on movies to discuss. I think the plan right now is for both of us to come up with our own movie, and then we'll mutually agree on a third, and we'll do like 3 mini horror movie reviews, or at least just Halloween movie reviews.
And you know, they're going to be old, so less reviews, I think more reflections, more kind of like,
yeah. I'm sure you're going to have a great time, because you were mentioning you're not a big horror fan.
I love horror in its essence. I am very bad with jump scares. Like, I
get that.
Horribly bad with jump scares.
And I will go full in depth on my hatred of jump scares on next week's show.
Great.
And so we just want to thank you guys again so much for listening. If you're listening to us on Spotify or YouTube, you can find us on either or the other. We are on Spotify and Anchor.fm, which is published every Saturday. We are on YouTube, which is published every Wednesday, and we have a few others. I can't remember which ones, but we have a few other shows that are a few other channels that we're just about to get published on, which is really exciting.
Wonderful.
So thank you guys so much for listening, and be sure to tune in next week for our very fun Halloween episode, and we will talk to you guys again next week.